Hi home video makers. A user on the magix.info forum asked how to create a two-column scrolling title. In Magix Movie Studio, there is no built-in multi-column possibility, but you can still create a multi-column title. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to create a two-column scrolling title and how to save it as a template for use in other projects. I'm using Magix Movie Studio 2024 Platinum. This also works in Magix Video Pro X. Start by clicking on the T button for the titler. This opens a title box on the preview monitor and the titling editor in the media pool. To start with, I'm going to create the left title. You can type in the text, but I've already got some text in the clipboard that I prepared, and I'll paste it and click on the check mark to accept it. Next, I can adjust the font, height, and color, and anything else that I want. This is simply done in the title editor, and whatever you select there will be applied to the entire title. I'll undo that. However, if you want certain letters, words, or lines of text to have different parameters, like font, font size, color, bold, italics, etc., open the text box by double-clicking on the text object and highlight just the text to get the parameters that you want, and change the parameters while the text to be affected is still highlighted. Note that this cannot be done by selecting text in the title editor, only in the title box in the preview monitor. I'll change the font and the font size of the first line by selecting it, and then changing the font and then the size in the title editor. Hit Enter to keep the changed size. I'll accept the changes by clicking on the check mark. The text box is still selected. Since this will be the left side, I'll right justify everything by clicking on the right justify button. This affects the entire text because the box is not open for selective editing. I want to add some animation, so I'll select from bottom to top. The default time is 5 seconds, and I'll leave it at that. The text object will be 5 seconds long. You can change the duration of the text object by changing the value here, or by dragging the length of the object on the timeline. I'll put it back to 5 seconds. We don't see anything because the playback marker is at the beginning of the title and it's off screen at the very bottom. I'll try it out by pressing on play. It works fine, but I want this left side text to be more to the left. To be able to select the title on the screen, it has to be visible, so move the playback marker partway along the text object. With the object selected in the timeline, click on the title in the preview monitor to get the box. Now I can move the title box to the left of center by dragging it. This can also be done using the View Animation Size Position Rotation effect. I'll come back to that later. Look at the title box selected in the preview monitor. It goes from top to bottom. Normally the box would be just around the title, but it's now full height because I selected the bottom to top animation. This makes aligning left and right titles a little easier. Now for the right side. I'll duplicate the object by holding down the Control key and dragging the object downwards with the left mouse button held down to the next track. The duplicate is already selected, but if not, select it on the timeline. Click on Left Justify. If you don't see the text box in the preview monitor, click on the text, then drag the text box in the preview monitor to the right of center, or at least to the right of the left column. Double-click on the object in the timeline and change the text for the right side. Be careful to respect any special formatting that you did to the left side. Don't add any lines or change anything that will upset the alignment of the left side. Animation is already there because this is a copy. To show what happens if a line is added, I'll add line 7, and you can see that the text is no longer lined up with the left side. To get the same thing on the left side, select it and add line 7, or just add a blank line and accept the change. Formatting and the number of lines has to be identical on each side for the alignment to work. Test it out by playing it back. Great! Everything lines up, and now we have the template text. What happens if we don't want animation and just want static text on the screen? I'll go back to where the left side was created, but this time I'll keep the default with no animation. Note that the duration is still 5 seconds. You can change this if you want. Drag the text box to where you want the left side. Now create the duplicate by holding down Control and dragging the object on the timeline to the next track down. In the title editor, click on Left Justify if that's what you want. With the duplicate still selected on the timeline, drag the text box on the preview monitor to the right. Uh-oh, it's hard to keep it going perfectly horizontal. There's no guide or snap. Here is where you should switch to Size Position Rotation Effect. Click on the first text object and you'll see the size position outline and handles. Note the value of the vertical position in the interface. I'm going to round off the vertical value to make this a little easier. I'll change the vertical position to -95. Enter. Now select the second text and look at the vertical position. Click on the box and change the value to be the same as the left side. Press Enter to accept the parameter change. Now we have both text boxes lined up. If you want to change the horizontal position of either side, make adjustments to the horizontal position using the Size Position effect instead of dragging the text box. Note that you can change the size of the text box here, but if you do, make sure to give both text boxes the same values. Increasing the size of the text boxes can cause them to overlap, so you'll have to readjust the horizontal positions. I'll go back to the first text, the scrolling one. To be able to use this in other projects, I'll have to save it as a template. I want to keep the two text objects together, so I'll group them by selecting both, then clicking on the Group button. I have the title editor open. If it's not open and some other effect is there, double-click on one of the title objects, then click on the check mark. With the grouped title object selected, click on the hamburger menu at the top right of the title box to open it. In older versions of the program, this was a down arrowhead. Select Save as Special Effect. The Explorer will open to the correct location, hopefully. Note the path here, as we'll come back to this later. I'll give the title template a name, 2-column title, and save it. Let's check under Templates, Title Templates, My Own. It's not there. So I'll do a refresh by navigating to another template and then back. Now it's there. Let's test this. I'll go to another movie. I'll click on the Apply button and it gets added to the timeline. You can also drag and drop to wherever you want. Now I can edit this by double-clicking on one title or the other, as we saw before. Here's a little bonus. Look at the template for your title. It just shows a big T. Other templates have representative icons. If you want an icon that shows your 2-column template, here is one way to do it. Remember I told you to note down the name and location of your template text. With just your template fully on the screen, no background unless you want one, go to File, Export Movie, Single Frame as a JPEG. Select the location to store the file and give an appropriate name. Click on OK. Open this exported image in an image editor of your choice. I'll use Microsoft Paint 3D, which you probably have. Crop the image down to show just the text. Export or save it as a JPEG or PNG file using exactly the same name as the title template, including names that may have spaces, hyphens, or underscores, but with JPG or PNG appended, and to the location of your template text, but under the Icons subfolder. Click on Save. Now go back to Movie Studio, refresh the My Own Template selection by navigating elsewhere and back. You should now see your template with your new icon. Now you've seen how to create a 2-column title template, modify text parameters, adjust the location of text boxes on the screen, and create a reusable template with an icon to go with it. Thank you for watching. Till next time, enjoy.